And we are live. This is the Get Your Ass to Work podcast, episode number 58. And today I have a special guest, Launa Rosa with the World Financial Group. She's been in the business 6 years, started at 21 years old. You're young. All right. Spent her early 20s learning the business. She's a mom. She's a wife. Relocated from San Jose to beautiful, cold-ass Reno, Nevada, to educate and empower our local citizens. But she's also in the Bay Area market. And we met, I think you heard my podcast probably originally. You contacted me just as kind of get together and network a little bit. So we met about last week, went out, had coffee, kind of got to talk, and I said, hey, let's get you on the podcast because, at least my opinion, you don't have to agree with anything or everything that I say, but I think the 401k is bullshit. And just to start this podcast off, I mean, let's get going there. Welcome to the show. How you doing today?
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Super excited for this, Daniel. Yeah, I actually followed you on Instagram and found your podcast, and we still drive back and forth from Reno to the Bay Area often. So I listened to one of your podcasts in the car, and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool," and I'd love to meet you and collaborate. So lots of things that we'll be able to do together. But I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Hey, I mean, real quick, let's start this off with some fire. I think the 401k is bullshit, and here's my reasoning. Maybe you can add to it or take away. Tell me I'm wrong. It doesn't matter. I don't have an ego about it. But it seems like people's old school thinking of retirement was put all of your money for years and years and years and years into this 401k. And eventually when you're how old? 59 and a half or something, you can like take money out of it. And if you take money out of it earlier than that to use it for something important like buying a home, you pay a very, very significant penalty for doing something like that. And I always thought, well, what are you going to put all this money for that you can never touch into this fund and then wait your entire life for it to mature, and then by that time happens, inflation goes through the frickin' roof. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I absolutely agree. I'm definitely not going to bash the 401k, but I will say it's very frustrating the lack of education that's around it. You know, you go to a job, you're excited, you got hired by a company, you receive your benefits package, and in that package they say, congratulations, you qualify for our 401k, and we're going to match you 3%, which to them, you know, employee mindset, they think, oh my goodness, that's free money, I'm so excited, my company, they love me, I have this amazing job, and they never really look further into it. So oftentimes I'll sit down with people who have a 401k and either they have cashed it out or they have taken a loan against it, or, you know, they have lost significant amounts of money in the market, and they just don't know until it's too late. So I would say the lack of education around it is very frustrating, and that's why we're creating this movement. That's why I'm here doing this with you. That's why we do events and go to companies and homes and businesses wherever we're needed to educate and empower and really focus on getting that information out there before it is too late. So I agree with a lot of what you said. The fact that you cannot touch your money until 59 and a half, most people do. And that penalty, where does that go? It goes to the government, right? So of course it's set up where, okay, you can't touch this, but most will. I think the statistic...
Yeah, let me stop you right there, because you just said something that's really, really important. Most people do touch their money before that time, and they pay a very significant penalty. And I think you even said there was a percentage of people that touch it. I mean, It was pretty high, right?
Yeah, last time I checked, it was about 93% of people who, you know, had money in a 401k, and whether it was from an old job or a current job, they touched that money early.
Right, and the whole point of it was to not have to pay taxes on it, but they touch it early and they end up paying taxes on it. Is that about right?
Correct. So what happens is if you touch your money prior to 59 and a half, there's a couple of things for hardship. So if you qualify as a hardship and, you know, medical emergencies, sometimes first-time home buyers, they can access that money without the penalty. But here's the thing. Regardless of the penalty or not, you are paying taxes on that money later. So a lot of people, I've sat down with people who say, wait a minute, I pay taxes on that money in retirement. They don't even know or understand that. So that's very scary to me, because if you look at it right now, whether or not it feels like it, we're really at an all-time low in taxes. Right? Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
And do you think, Daniel, in the future they could be going down, or do you think taxes might be going up?
I think that the taxes have one way to go, and that's probably up.
Probably up, right? Pretty assumptive, but I mean, looking at history, we're at an all-time low, and all it takes is the next person in office to change everything. And retirement, 15, 20, 25, even 30 years out, do you really think that taxes are going to be what they are today? Probably not, right? So even that fact alone, if we're putting money away now at an all-time low and we're withdrawing it when taxes are higher, we're paying more money in taxes than we would have originally paying taxes now. Does that make sense?
It does, totally, 100%. So let's talk about what you actually do. You're with the World Financial Group. Give us like the 30-second, 45-second basic-ass rundown for people like me who don't know shit about the financial world and just need to know why is it important to talk to people like you.
Absolutely. So I think a lot of this, and honestly, when people hear, oh, financial, they think financial advisor. Their head goes to Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley or Charles Schwab right away. And let me just ask you a question. When you picture a financial advisor, what kind of person do you picture?
Somebody in an office that I don't really want to go to that's going to offer me a bottled water and get me to spend money on things I'm not sure if I'm ever going to see a return on.
Okay. I know they're usually my age or maybe a little bit older.
Maybe a little bit older, probably in their 40s or 50s, wearing a pretty cool suit and probably haven't shaved in a day.
There you go. All right. Yeah, I think a lot of people I ask that question, they say, someone who should be retired by now, or old white male in glasses, because that's the traditional image of an advisor. And the truth is, those are money managers. That's how kind of I like to compare what we do versus a financial advisor. We focus on education. So everything that's out there, I'm very transparent. I want them to know we lay everything on the table. We find out what someone's exact needs are. We never do business on the first appointment, and we work with 300 companies. So we come back and we're able to allow the clients to choose what makes sense for their life at the time, but we guide them along the way as well. So we focus on basic things like compound interest, really how to make your money work for you rather than against you. What kind of interest rates are the banks giving out right now? Any idea?
For 30-year fixed loans, stuff like that?
Like what you're earning in your bank account.
Oh, gosh, what? It's way less, what, 1/4%, 0.5%?
Maybe like a CD, yeah.
Yeah.
So an actual bank account where people say, oh, I have my money in the bank, it's safe and secure. They're earning maybe 0.01% if they're lucky.
Yeah.
So that money won't even grow in their lifetime, right? So we talk about things like the rule of 72 and how
you're
can
losing
make
money
compound
by
interest.
keeping it in your bank account.
Absolutely.
I mean, with the rate of inflation, the way that costs for everything are going up, if you have money in your bank account, it's basically shrinking as it's sitting there.
Very true. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. You are. And so what happens is people say, well, okay, then I like the stock market. And the problem is, let's go back to, workplace plans like 401ks. You're sitting next, I call it cubicle retirement advice. We're in cubicles next to each other and I'm brand new. I just signed up for the 401k and I like you. You're my coworker. You're my friend. And I say, hey, Daniel, I'm signing up for the 401k. What funds do you like? What has worked for you? Right? And where did you get it from? You didn't go to school for finance. You didn't go study this. Most likely, it's so rare for that to be the scenario. Most likely, someone told you what makes sense, maybe guided you. And most of these funds, people are just guessing and putting their money into. And the problem with that is you could look at the last few days in the stock market, trillions of dollars were wiped out. Right? And so now maybe someone my age, they're like, okay, I'm young, I could take the loss. But what about some of my parents' age? My dad, he's 67, he's still working. He lost everything between 2001 and 2008. And my mom, same thing, she'll be 58 this weekend, and she lost a lot as well, and she's starting over. And when these people are starting over, they're putting their money in the same variable account that they once lost in.
Right. I like what you said there because it is old school thinking, and it is just that passed through traditional office talk of, I want my benefits, and part of benefits when you get a job is, I'm getting a 401k. And it's not even thought about. People don't even understand how it works. All they do is, my neighbor next to me in the cubicle throws money in there, so I'm going to start throwing money in there. And we're not saying there's no benefit to it or it hasn't helped people. It's just my point of view is it's not the most efficient thing you could be doing with your money.
That's a great point. So on that, a lot of people think, oh my goodness, I'm paying less money in taxes right now. But the truth is, I'd say maybe 3% of people that actually have a 401k are lowering themselves into a different tax bracket by contributing to it. So that's another thing that we'll look at. If it does make sense for someone to put money into a 401k or an IRA, and that tax break right now is significant enough to do so, we'll contribute up to that amount, but we'll look at other avenues, right? So the third thing that we talk about compound interest. We talk about 3 ways money grows. So the third that I didn't quite get to yet is really making the gains of the stock market up to a certain point. But when the stock market drops, we say 0 is your hero. So I had clients calling me yesterday, oh my goodness, just want to make sure I'm not losing any money with the drop in the market, correct? And I said, that's correct. You are not in the stock market. You are partaking in the gains, but when the market is down, you do not lose anything.
Talk about that, because the stock market just took a huge hit the last few days as we're recording February 26th right now of 2020. We just saw a huge drop in the stock market, and what you're saying is that you have a program or some sort of, I don't know what you call them, an account that you can invest in that you gain on the up but do not lose on the down?
Correct.
Okay. How does that work? Because that sounds like bullshit to me, but it's not, right?
Right, correct.
I mean, go ahead.
Absolutely. So it's with certain companies, it's different products and strategies, but how it works is it's not too good to be true because you can't have it all. So if the market's up 100%, you're probably not going to take 100%. There's different strategies. There's different what we call cap rates. So let's say, in an example, stock market does 27% in a year. We put this client with Nationwide. They're saving $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year into this product. When the market drops, they don't lose anything, but they can gain all the way up to 25% in that strategy. So different ways, different companies. It's a little complex to, I think, fully get into right now, but it's very real. And would you rather, this is what I say to my clients, would you rather have all of the growth and all of the loss in the stock market, or would you rather have a safe and secure window where long-term you can accumulate wealth and allow compound interest to really work for you?
Right. One of the problems that I see in my field is that I get to people's homes who tend to be in between the ages of 60 to 70 years old, and they're having to sell their home because they've run out of money. They basically have gone through all of their savings, maybe never had a savings. They're living on Social Security, and now they've got the last thing that they have is their home, and they've probably got anywhere between $20,000 to $150,000 in equity, and they are selling that last thing they have to go rent a home, and they are going to live off of that last bit of money. But people now are damn near living 90 to 100 years old on average, and that last bit of money is not going to last somebody another 15 or 20 years, especially not with our spending habits here in America, and life is expensive. If you haven't lived lately, try doing it. It costs a lot of money. I mean, what are some things that people can start doing so you don't end up in that situation where you're 70 years old and you've got nothing left and nothing saved?
So just because you said it, I do want to piggyback on that real quick. There is a product when clients do sell their home and they have nothing left that they could put that money into. So I have a lady, for example, her husband died, sold her home, received $150,000. And what we did was we put that into a personal pension plan, which day one paid her $1,600 a month every single month until the day she dies, even if she lives till 120. Now, is $1,600 a month a lot of money? No, but it's coupled with Social Security, and it guarantees her that she's not going to outlive that money. So there are ways to actually do that, and that's another thing that we talk about. But to go back to that question, I think really it's like almost a reality check. Just sitting down, figuring out where you're at, what your goal is, where you want to be. It makes me sick to my stomach thinking about the amount of people that have never sat down with someone. You know, maybe they do some research online, or Financial Peace University is a very popular thing right now. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't heard of that.
Okay, so a lot of people are doing Dave Ramsey's course like through churches and you know, learning about budgeting and envelope systems, and I think that's a good fix for now, but long term you kind of need to figure out where you are. And the problem with retirement today is it used to be a three-legged stool. You know, you'd have your pension where you go work for a company and they guarantee you a portion of your income every single month for the rest of your life until the day you die, right? And then you had Social Security. And then you had personal savings. And back then, people were actually saving. So they had 3 buckets, 2 of those buckets that would never run out. And then personal savings allowed them to travel and have fun and spoil their grandkids like people want to in retirement. Well, here's what happened today. Pensions are almost unheard of. And those who still do have pensions, their benefits are constantly being stripped away from them.
Or things could go bankrupt, like in San Bernardino. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Teamsters, truck drivers, someone that spends their whole life on the road and away from their family and in danger every day, maybe could fall asleep at the wheel at any given point. Their benefits were reduced so significantly. I had a client whose pension was going to be about $4,000 a month, and he was working 40 years to guarantee that for himself, and it was dropped to $1,500 a month. So even pensions aren't guaranteed anymore. And most companies are going to say, all right, welcome to our company, so you stay here for 30 years and we'll pay you for the rest of your life, because it's so much more feasible to the business owner to offer 401k plans. Right? And rather than that full pension benefit, they'll say, you know what, Daniel, stick with us, we'll give you 3%. But what they're not telling you is for them, it's a tax write-off. You're the one paying the taxes on that money. And then all of the hidden fees and the different ways that 401ks work, they tried to replace pensions with 401k plans, and it's not working. And then personal savings, right? America, we save negative 2% of our income. Wow. Right? We're not even positive. We're in more debt than we have saved. So I posted something on Instagram the other day, and I think it was like, if you spend $27 a day, that's $10,000 a year of frivolous spending. So, okay, we go to lunch, we buy a coffee, we do something stupid. Like
I buy 3 coffees.
There you go, right? So if you do that year after year, rather than every time you were going to go spend those $27 or buy coffee or, get a water even though you have water in your office, you just don't want to go back upstairs, whatever that is, right? You'd be able to save at least $10,000 a year, and over time that compounds, and that could give you a long-term, sustainable, even in some cases tax-free retirement that will never run out. So I think just knowing and saying, okay, I know that I don't want to talk about this, but it is very important, and this podcast is making me think I need to get this stuff in line. I need to get this taken care of. Because most people, they'll hear this and they'll say, wow, I need to sit down and figure my stuff out, or even, I'm happy to share my information, contact me. But the problem is they think, oh, well, I'll do it after this is paid off, or, oh, I'll do it after here, and that never comes, right?
That never happens.
Never happens.
Right. Yeah, I kind of liken it to the person who's out looking at homes and really wants to buy a home. Then they find the perfect home that they want to buy, but they're too afraid to look at their bank account, talk to a lender. And by the time they go and they find the lender and they say, okay, finally I'm ready to write an offer, the lender tells them, oh, you've got a 500 credit score. You need to save, tens of thousands of dollars more for the down payment, and come talk to us in 2 years. And then they lose all hope and they never actually do anything, and that happens to a lot of people. Here's something that I see. I see a lot of people complaining, especially with the elections coming up. I read all the Facebook stuff going on, and people are, talking about Trump, Bernie Sanders. I don't care what side you're on. Your fiscal responsibility belongs to you. But I see a lot of people that want they want the health care, they want the 401k, they want the paid 2 weeks vacation time off, they want the maternity leave, now they want paternity leave. I mean, they want all of the benefits, and they want all of the stuff, but everybody is complaining that they're also not getting paid enough. So they're not getting paid enough, but they want all of these frickin' benefits. Let's just take that example. What is somebody to do if you're working a pretty standard job, making the average income in Reno is somewhere between $50,000 and $70,000 a year for a working professional? What are some things that the average earner person is going to do to make sure they're taken care of by the time they hit that age of 75 years old, when you're supposed to be on a cruise boat drinking, Mai Tais with a little umbrella in it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I feel like number one, getting a budget in place is so important. Like, if your every dollar coming in is going out, that's a big problem. And one thing that isn't talked about enough is we really need to be paying ourselves first. It's like, okay, I'm going to pay my cable bill and my cell phone bill and my mortgage and all of these things, and you're paying bills, but then you're not saving, and you're spending maybe what's left, $100, $200, $300 on going out. or going to a fancy restaurant, or, drinking alcohol every night after work, or smoking. And there's nothing wrong if you have any of those things going on in your life. But the problem is we need to be paying ourselves first, because you're the most important person and bill and agenda that you have in your entire life. And so I think that there's a lot of answers to that question. For a family, for a household, and especially a breadwinner, I think that life insurance is such a key component to any financial plan. Whether that's term, whatever it is that you have or, are interested in. Because what happens is if something happens to you and you're the breadwinner and your wife is at home or she's not working, or maybe you're the wife and you're the breadwinner and husband's making less money, whatever that situation is, when you lose one of those incomes, you still have a mortgage that you're paying for. You now have kids, right? You are not only financially devastated, but you're emotionally devastated. And so life insurance, to me, I think should be the foundation for any financial plan. For instance, any of your clients, when they go buy a home, the most important thing to them is now paying off that home eventually. But if mom is home with the kids, living in that house, and husband dies and there's no life insurance, most likely she's either going to sell that house, right, try to take the equity, or go have to get a job and put the kids in school. So it kind of becomes a big mess. So I think that's something that's very overlooked. Life insurance is not how it used to be. It's not just if you die, your family gets money. If you live too long, it was a term, it's expired. You can get life insurance with living benefits now. And especially for someone who may be self-employed, someone who has a risky job, or, is on the road a lot, there's so many different things that can tie into that. But I think that having that income replacement plan is key. It's so important. If something happened to you, what would continue to pay your bills? What would keep your lifestyle? Second to that, just as important, none above the other, is a will. All of your important documents in place. And for homeowners, they definitely need a trust. And a lot of people, that's not feasible to them. They think it's thousands of dollars or tens of thousands. The truth is, if you have a pretty simple situation and you own a home and have some assets, you can do it online nowadays. It's fill in the blanks. It's like, okay, my name is Daniel. Here's what I do. Here's what I want to go wear. And it costs about $500 to have all of that in place. Right, so once those things are in place, I think regardless of what happens, you could start to save money. You become a little bit bulletproof to any circumstances, because if someone passes away and they don't have a trust in place and they had assets and a home and they had everything in their life together, now their heirs get to deal with a huge mess. So those are the first two. And then I like to save in 3 different places. I think it's important to save in your bank account, emergency, right? Like today, like, oh, if I need money, I have it. And then more of like a short-term emergency fund, and then something long-term that will give you an income stream and retirement until the day that you die. So those are really my 3 things. It starts with a budget, and then you have your foundation, which is the estate plan, all of your important documents like power of attorney, healthcare directive, all of those things, life insurance, and then really start saving. So I would answer.
Yeah. I mean, that's all great. Great stuff that a lot of us don't think about until it's too late. And it's all stuff we know we should probably do, but we shy away from even looking at our bank accounts month to month to see how much we spent. We just look at the balance. Okay, do I have money or do I not have money? Yeah. Can I go out to dinner or can I not go out to dinner? Instead of really getting a budget and planning something that we can do so that we're financially taken care of at the end of our working careers, at least until the time that we plan to retire. But talking about careers, let's shift gears a little bit right here. You also teach people how to do what you do. So let's talk about that, because you have opportunities that you can offer people from a career standpoint. Yeah, let us know how do you teach people to do what you do and advise others? Okay,
perfect. So a lot of our business model is taking people who are not from the industry, who have a passion for helping people, or who maybe never were taught this stuff. So I'll sit down with someone often who's like, oh my goodness, I'm 50 years old. I didn't know any of this my entire life. All of my friends need to know. And, I'm looking for a career change, or I want to make more income, or, I feel like I need to be accountable to myself and share this with others. So we have the opportunity to help people get licensed, as well as alongside training them every single step of the way, what they they need to know. So I mentioned in the beginning that we don't consider ourselves financial advisors, right, or money managers. We really focus on the education. So we, in our office in Reno, every Tuesday evening and Saturday morning, we have open houses to the community. We're teaching education. We focus on different things. While that's going on, we're also training agents. So our goal is not, to just my husband and I share all of this with everyone. We're not going to reach all over the United States, which is our goal, just us sharing this information. So we recruit. Of course, they have to have a clear background, right, because you are dealing with people's money, and it comes down to the fact someone gives you their $1 million life savings. Do you want to, go put it in the account that it's designated to, or do you want to leave to Mexico and go live off of that forever? And the truth is, in the industry, sometimes people will say, well, I got $1 million, I'll leave. So you have to have a clear background. We do hire people that don't have any experience in the industry. I was 21, guys. I was working. I was going to school 100 hours a week. All my money came in. It went out. And that was my life. And I want to be a marriage and family therapist. I would have just finished school and probably just started my internship if that was the path I went down. But someone said to me, you know what, you're passionate, you have energy, you seem to really care about people. I want to teach you what I know and take you under my wing so that you can help people and leave your mark on the world as well. So we're very much about personal development and just really transferring what we know and the skills for what we help clients with into agents. So we have a team out here in Reno, pretty new out here, but I think we have about 15, 20 licensed agents out here right now. And then we have like another 15, 20 that are in licensing. And, we're constantly working with them, training them. It really is our whole life, guys. Like when you run a business, there's really not that separation between who you are and what you do. It just kind of intertwines together. Would you relate with that? Being
Absolutely.
in real estate?
100%. And your career in real estate actually becomes your hobby. It becomes your passion. It becomes pretty much what you think about day and night, except for when you're made to go on a vacation and leave home, which happens sometimes. So what are like the 3 things that somebody could do to be successful in your industry? Like if somebody is looking for a career change, they don't know whether or not this career is actually for them. What are they going to need? Like 3 key points in order to be successful in your line of work.
Well, number one, I think that your network determines your net worth. And so if someone kind of, lives in their home, they go to work, they, don't go out, they don't socialize, and they come into our industry and they think, oh my gosh, I'm going to get rich and make millions of dollars, but they don't have that skill of talking to people, it's going to be really hard. And the truth is that's something that you can learn, right? We were talking about this the other day, why it's hard to recruit realtors and get them licensed, because you don't naturally... If you can't naturally talk to people and create your network, it's a little bit harder just to go out and have success right away. And I think that we agree on that point. So number one, I think, is having a network or being willing to create a network for yourself, number one. Number two, I think, is coachability. And the fact, I'm 27, my husband's 30, and we're leading a team that is constantly growing, and the majority of them are not our age, you guys. Like, the truth is, most people in their 20s are not trying to build a business. They're not trying to get their career in check, and they're really working, figuring it out, and living for the weekend. And so a lot of our team's older, so being coachable and being willing to learn new things and not question them is the second thing. And then number three, I think, is just like being on a relentless pursuit to get better every single day and help others. And we love people who are ambitious and motivated and kind of just like have that something different about them. Like those people that you meet and you feel like, man, this person needs to be doing something where they can impact the world. I love working with those kind of people. Now, it doesn't mean that's the only kind of people that are successful here, but I'd say coachability, having a network and being willing to get into it, and just having like that little slight edge, like I want to win, I'm going to do this or die trying. Those are the things initially that help me be successful in the business. And I was 21. I didn't have a network. My parents were like, what the heck are you doing? Go back to school, right? My family, no one wanted to sit down with me. My friends, they were all 21. They were living for the weekend. And so I had to go out, and I would like pick up business cards off the ground and call them. We talked about this, right? You cold call, you do whatever it takes. And I would find business cards and call people and sit down with them. And eventually I didn't have to do that anymore. But initially you have to be willing to do whatever it takes for a period of time, and your life will change forever. I think real estate and mortgage mortgages and financial services and all of these things. We're in the money business. And if you're in a business where you're moving money and helping people move that money, you're in the middle of the transaction, you're going to become wealthy if you stick around long term and you have the commitment and drive. And the other thing that I didn't mention is we do not charge our clients. I don't think I mentioned that at all. So the money that we are making does not come directly from our clients.
Talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we work with 300 companies. Let's say Transamerica is one of them. If we help a client, let's say create a college plan, a retirement plan, and we use Transamerica for those, Transamerica will compensate us directly out of their marketing budget. So rather than spending billions of dollars a year on marketing and advertising, they have about 60,000 licensed agents in our company that are going out, sharing their story across the kitchen table, helping families, and they pay us in return.
Okay, got that. That's really cool. So, what I'm hearing from you is that this job is, working with you in an opportunity. You kind of need to be a little bit of a talker. Mm-hmm. You've got to, or at least be willing to do whatever it takes. If you're not a talker, you have to be coachable, and then you got to have some fire in your gut to want to get out there and do this. So this isn't one of those jobs, I'm guessing, where somebody is going to be looking over you all the time and making sure that you punch the time clock, and you're clocking in and clocking out, and you talk to a certain number of people a day, or you did all this stuff. It's kind of up to you. Yeah. To make this work. But there is accountability. I'm sure there's coaches there that are going to be there to guide you. So you're going to have to get after it, but there is a proven model for success in this business if you're willing to walk the walk.
And I just have to change one word because you said job. It's definitely not a job.
There you
Entrepreneurs, go. Right? 1099. So, you can go help 10 clients and make $20,000, or you could help 0 clients and make $0, right? Same as real estate. You don't sell a home, you're not going to make money. So it's very much one of those things where if you perform, you will be compensated for it, and if you don't, well, there's no compensation to be met. So a lot of people, they love the safety and security that their job comes with. So I love getting people started part-time, helping them get licensed, learn the industry, make some extra income, maybe pay off some debt, save some money, and then eventually they could go full-time so they don't have to leave their job, their security right away.
Yeah, so give me a basic profile of who an ideal person is that would want to try this out, or some of the qualities that you look for.
It's funny because I think of our team right now and everybody's so different. And I did say, yes, they have to have some fire in them, but that doesn't mean that everyone does. They're just a little bit slower, right? So I think in anything, there's 80%ers and there's 20%ers, and they say 20% of people do 80% of the work. So we have that in our business as well. And the 20%ers, those that come in and have success right away, are those qualities that I gave you, but that doesn't mean that they're the only ones who win here. So 2020, side hustles are like the new thing, right? Everybody's doing something, whether it's working at the mall, stopping you, trying to get you to buy their shampoo or try on their products, or, starting like a little business, or joining a network marketing company, or driving Uber or Lyft. Everybody wants to make extra income. So if you have a clean background and you're willing to grow, and this sounds like, you know what, I might want to learn about this, or I might be interested in seeing what this takes, we are willing to sit down and have that conversation. And for the most part, we don't say, oh, sorry, you're not a good fit, unless something seems like kind of shady, then yes, absolutely we will. But for the most part, we'll give people a shot. And I have this guy, I'm happy to talk about him. He's young, he's 24, and he has a couple disabilities, and you would meet him and never imagine him being in the financial industry, ever. But he is like a sponge, and he has continued to surprise me over and over and over again, and he's very involved in his church, and everyone that he's talked to is interested in sitting down with him. And you don't have to be a master at this right away. We have agents who just get their license and they're like, all right, here's Launa. And then we split that commission, we split that business, right? So this guy just got licensed. His first month, he'll make like $5,000 extra, which I'm so excited for him because that's 2 times the amount of money that he makes at his job. So it doesn't mean you have to be like this extra special thing. We're willing to sit down with everyone and talk to them. But I'd say like everybody's looking for a side hustle nowadays, and this is like a side hustle that can legitimately pay your bills, get you out of debt, maybe fire your boss eventually, and then become your full-time business.
Yeah, that's awesome. And one thing I've learned is you never know who's actually going to be the person that's going to be successful. You can have a profile of who you think is going to do well or is not going to do well in the business, and people will tend to surprise you. And it works the other way, too. There's people who I thought would kill it in real estate, and they're in and they're out within 6 months, and you never hear from them again. So, guys, if you have an interest in at least finding out more information, Launa, how do people get a hold of you?
Should I give them my phone number?
You can give them anything you want to give.
All right. Well, you post this on Instagram too, right?
Yeah.
So we'll probably tag me on it.
Yeah.
So my phone number, you can text me, especially if your number calling me. I get so many random calls nowadays. I try to answer all of them.
I get so many spam calls these days. If you call from out of state, there's a good chance I'm not answering your call. So a text definitely works.
Definitely.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's funny because not to go off topic too much, but I've had someone call me from my own phone number.
Your own phone number.
Isn't that weird? So there's like systems where you can put any phone number in and call people, right? So they're getting very creative. Or, it'll say, Manuel Reyes is calling you, and it's an iPhone, so I'll text him like, hey, you called, and he's like, no, I didn't call, and I'll show them, right? So people are using other people's phone numbers, which is why I'm kind of careful with my phone nowadays. So my phone number is going to be area code 408-396 2801. Go ahead, you could call me, you could text me. We'll definitely get my Instagram up here as well so that we can build a relationship. But really my goal, whether you're in Nevada or you're not, is just to educate and empower. We sit down with people, we don't charge anything. Even if nothing comes out of it, we feel good, we did the right thing, and don't worry about us, because if we sit down with 10 clients and only help 2 of them, we're definitely compensated enough to take care of that. So it's not like, oh my gosh, they're working nonprofit. We're not. But our goal is to sit down, meet you. If you're running a business, I'd love to sit down with you, see what you do, see how we can partner. I'm really big on networking and partnerships. And the other thing that we didn't mention is for business owners. We talked about this a little bit. Anyone on a 1099 that's paying a lot of money in taxes to the IRS, I actually know some legal loopholes where you can almost pay yourself that money rather than paying the IRS. So that's another thing that we do. There's just so much. We couldn't get into all of it today. But definitely text me, call me, leave me a voicemail if you do call me, and I would absolutely love to connect.
Awesome. Yeah, hey, really appreciate you taking the time here to be
fun
today. And I do have a question for you. And what's next for you personally? Yeah,
that's a great question. So, we came here for about 1.5 years for business, and I never imagined leaving the Bay Area. And we just felt like we were called here. And over again, we'd come here, we signed an office lease, we moved here at 6 days notice. So I think that we plan to be here for a while, just really focusing on educating. And I think that Reno has a lot of people who are hungry for more, whether that's on a business side or a personal level, but they don't really have the resources. So our goal is to be that resource, partner, do some really big things in town. But we go to all 50 states, whether we have an office or one of our colleagues does. Our company is in all 50 states, Canada, Puerto Rico. So our goal is just to go nationwide. Our long-term goal is to educate 3% of the nation. So that's a lot of people if you do the math, and it's probably going to take our whole lives doing so, but it's not just going to be us. So we're really looking for about 7 to 10 key people that we could duplicate ourselves into, that will take this and say, you know what, I want to change my life, and I want to leave a legacy for my family. And I think that's really our biggest focus right now, is finding those leaders and working with them and developing them. And we have some amazing people that we're working with right now, but we're definitely looking for those next individuals that we can teach and train and watch their entire lives transform as well.
Awesome. All right, you heard it. It's Launa Rosa. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, what's your Instagram, Facebook?
My Instagram is Mama Launa, Launa CEO. So I had that after I had my daughter, and I feel like it's kind of lame to change it now, and my name's already taken. So Mama Launa CEO, and I'll comment on this, or will get me tagged on this. And then my Facebook, you have to throw me under this bus, but my Facebook is actually under my husband's last name. So I haven't legally changed my last name. It's been years. I don't know if I ever will at this point, but don't let him hear that. So my Facebook is Launa, Launa Eggers, Eggers. So I kind of have this like dual identity thing going on right now, but my name on all my licenses is DeRosa. So I figured we'd introduce me as that.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks for being here today. We appreciate it, guys. If you ever have any questions, about the financial world, I want you to get a hold of Launa. And if you have questions about real estate, what we're doing here at EXP Real Estate, you guys know where to find me on Facebook or Instagram. Best way to get a hold of me is always just message me straight from Facebook. That's probably something that I take a look at. There's so many ways to message people now. Somebody sent me, and I was thinking it was an appraiser, gives me an email. I get a message from my broker and says, hey, you need to respond to this appraiser. And I said, I don't recall ever seeing them. Oh, well, they said they sent you an email. And I'm thinking, email? I'm like, who the fuck, who sends one email and thinks that that's communication these days? And I started thinking about it. I'm like, I've got like Instagram messages, Facebook messages, text messages, emails. There's like a million ways to contact people. You guys just get a hold of me through Facebook. Just send me something on Messenger, and I promise I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you have my personal phone number, you can text me. That is probably the best two ways.
Can you share your phone number? Because I'm going to share this as well.
775-771-1047. You can give me a call. I'm not always able to answer. Leave a message, or just text me directly. Find me on Facebook. Just my name, Daniel Puz. And I want to thank everybody who listens to the podcast. If you do have any questions, hit us up, and we'll see you next week.